Hi, and welcome back to our Sustainable Futures Career Conversations. I'm here today with Gihan Hyde, who is here to talk about her career path into sustainability and what it means to her. So, without further ado, Gihan, do you want to introduce yourself and then we'll start talking about your career?
Yes, thank you first of all for having me. I really appreciate it. So hi everyone, my name is Gihan Hyde and I am the founder and CEO of Communique, the ESG advisory firm. We basically help you as an organization to begin your sustainability journey by integrating it within your business model and culture. We also help you to communicate it clearly and concisely. And lastly, we help you to train your employees to understand why they should be coming with you in that journey, and most importantly, what is the role that they play in your sustainability journey. We're a B Corp certified, meaning that we meet the high standards of environmental and social impact. And as for myself, my background is marketing and communications.
Fascinating role in an interesting area. So let's dig back a little bit to that background, that initial education experience, where that took you and how you then evolved that into a more sustainability focused role. So you had an interesting education.
I did actually, yes. It wasn't your traditional path, if that makes sense, to sustainability. I mean, it took me, 25 years to get to where I am? Yep. But every step of my education basically enabled me to be where I am at the moment. So I started my studies in chemistry, and after 3 years of studying chemistry, I realized I'm not the right fit, and it's not meant to be for me. Well, basically, it's definitely I am not the right one. And then I switched to marketing and integrated communications, and then I studied psychology as a minor, and then that's it. From there, I've decided, okay, comms is my passion. Yep. I want to focus on it. It's what I'm good at. So this is where I've decided, okay, I'll do marketing for a bit. But then I also thought, no, not just marketing, it's not enough. So I studied PR. Okay. I did a diploma in internal comms. And finally, now I'm in sustainability.
Fantastic. So let's go back to that sort of early career, because I think a lot of the skills that are developed in that early career, PR, comms, marketing, are very relevant, increasingly relevant to selling the concept of sustainability and ESG. So let me just sort of ask a little bit about that early career and some of the roles that you took on, some of the things that you'd pick out from that you think have put you in the position that you're in now.
The thing with sustainability and with ESG, believe it or not, as a communicator, you probably are already part of that ecosystem. You just didn't know it was called ESG, basically. And that's what happened with me. For example, with the Riyadh Metro project, I was actually doing more around community engagement and social impact communications without realizing that's what it was called. I then went into HSBC and Barclays, where I was communicating governance and compliance, because I was the interim head of compliance and governance comms in the UK. And then after that, I joined BP, and I was part of the culture change and mindset change of employees regarding people and planet. So I was also head of workplace modernization, i.e. workplace sustainability comms. Yes. When COVID hit, and then the ESG phenomena, as I call it, or trend, just erupted, I was thinking, what is ESG? I've never heard of it before. But when I researched it, I was like, oh my God, I've actually been working in ESG all my life. I just didn't know it was that. So if anyone asks, what is ESG? You're probably doing an element of it. You just need to know which element you're part of.
Yes. So when you go into organisations and you look at what they're doing, where does sustainability fit within those businesses? Where do you see it fitting within the structure of those organisations that you're supporting?
It differs. It really does differ, Paul. So to give you a bit of the type of clients we work with. So for each of our services, we're targeting different clients. So for the business model integration, i.e. integrating sustainability within your DNA, this is targeted more towards scale-ups who are about to go through their Series C and D or even B investment rounds. For them, sustainability will always sit within their CFO, within the finance department. Yeah. Okay? Because the reason why it's being impacted or it's being enforced on them by their investors. For our second offer, which is the ESG communication and behavioral change within the employee's mindset, that is geared towards FTSE 100 and large organizations. Sustainability within these organizations vary. If you're an organization based in the UK, mainly you will have your own sustainability team, and it will fall under that. If you're in the Middle East, where our clients also are residing, it will fall under strategy. Okay. However, some companies, and specifically when it comes to our third service, which is ESG training for employees and leadership, we found that for these organizations, sustainability is falling within HR. So it really differs of sizes, locations, and appetite.
So one of the key things there is that you're having to engage with lots of different decision makers within organisations. And I'm interested in terms of the skills that you built in that marketing, PR, comms background, how that's helped you to understand what levers to pull with them, where to engage with them.
So the beauty of me and my background as communication professional is the fact that I am able to demystify complexity and change and transfer complexity into simplicity. That's my skill set. Yeah. But also the other skill set that I have and obtain is my curiosity. Yes. I am extremely curious. So I have the ability to go into an organization with my team, and when they give me a piece of work to communicate, I ask the difficult questions that no one else asks. But that comes from my curiosity, yes. You know. And then once I figure out and understand what does this data mean, or what's the key message behind the data, this is where my skill set as a communicator comes in. Excellent.
And from that, it's very clear you don't have that technical background that lots of people come into sustainability with. I'm interested to know how you sort of get around that, how you use that as an advantage, how you get to that sort of technical, because sustainability can be a very technically complex area. How do you cope with that without having that technical background?
Okay, let me just clear something out for you first. Okay. Sustainability and ESG is a very, as you say, very technical topic. And there is not a single person who would be qualified to handle all of it. And whoever says or claims that, they are wrong. Yep. Okay, and I don't want to swear, but it's fine. Okay. ESG is environmental, social, and governance. So for me to become technical, I will be 100 years old by the time I become technical on all aspects of it.
And it wouldn't suit you as a person either. It's not your skill set.
It's not my skill set. It's my interest. Yes. I understand it perfectly. I don't need to be the person who will go and implement it. I have the team behind me to do so. At this moment of time, my role is the glue that holds all three elements within one household.
So is one of the key lessons for people coming into this space to be that you don't need to be everything to everybody?
You can't. It's not even about don't. You can't be everything for everyone. And don't try to. It's like you wanting to be a doctor, but also you want to be a heart surgeon, a gastro, whatever you call it. You know, you can't. You just can't. Yes. You know, and there is no point. My advice, look at ESG, figure out which elements of ESG really interests you, aligns with your purpose as a human being, aligns with your skill sets, and based on that, go and explore.
And using that natural sense of curiosity to do that, to sort of understand where the issues are and dig into them.
You will have to be curious with ESG because it's an ever-evolving topic. Yep. I mean, literally, I joke you not, every week the regulations for reporting on your sustainability commitment changes. So your curiosity has to be guiding you, and your intuition and your ability to keep up with the constant change.
So you're dealing with lots of different types of businesses.
Yes.
All about sustainability and ESG. How transferable is what you're doing to them, or do you have to relearn certain elements of sustainability in order to be able to support them effectively?
So the beauty of my career is I worked in 9 sectors and in 6 countries. So when it comes to sectors, I'm familiar with the DNA and the ways of working of each sector. So it's very easy for me to hit the ground running. However, each sector has different sustainability issues. And this is where my curiosity will have to be at the forefront. But not just that. This is where my team need to come in and then help me achieve what we are trying to achieve for the client.
So the core of it is essentially the same, and then it's how that's interpreted within different organisations that changes, and that's where those skill sets that you've got and the team has got come into play.
Yes.
Super.
That is the core, yes.
Okay, so I'm thinking about the ESG and the broad sweep that is environment, social governance. Do you see particular areas that organisations are focused on at the moment? Are there particular trends in terms of the type of issues that you're having to deal with at the moment?
At the moment, the issues that the majority of our clients are facing are: how do we begin our ESG commitment? Where do we begin from? Okay. What are the regulations that are coming towards us that we need to be aware of? And last but not least, how on earth do we bring the employees with us so that they understand why we care about this topic?
Yes.
These are the 4 issues or challenges that we see on a daily basis and people are calling us to help them with.
And is that evolving? Is that changing? You talked about the different issues that are within that, but is the essence of what those organisations need support with staying roughly the same, just with different issues?
It's the same. It's just how advanced they are in the journey. So the more advanced, the more issues you have. Yeah. Because if you're really advanced in your sustainability commitment, your role now or your challenge is to keep your KPIs and you keep your promise. So that differs from one country to another, from one size of company to another. Yes. So this is where the difference will be.
And you talked before about a lot of the drive coming from the investor community within the sort of organisations you're dealing with. Is that the same across the different geographies that you work and the different sectors, or are there different pressures coming on organisations in different parts of the space?
There are 3 pressures that's coming in for organizations, okay? The first one is investors, without a doubt. 84% of global investors have now switched their portfolios into sustainable portfolios, okay? The second pressure is the regulations. So to give you an example, every company that is listed in the UK from now on have to report on their ESG commitment by law. Every company that's based in the Middle East have to do the same. Okay, so there is pressure coming from the regulators. The third pressure, believe it or not, is the customer pressure. 1 in 3 customers in the UK, for example, are now asking for purposeful and sustainable products. And they have bluntly said, we won't buy your product, A, if we can't see ourselves represented in it, and B, if it doesn't help save our people or planet. So these are the different pressures that is coming from external pressures on organizations. Which one is more prominent depends on the sector you are in. So I'm part of the fintech sector. We don't, by the way, we are sector agnostic as Communique, but my passion lies in financial technology because this is where I believe is the sector that's really going to drive the agenda. Okay. For fintechs, for example, in the UAE, all the fintechs in the Middle East now have to, by law, who are based in the UAE have to assign a sustainability pledge.
Okay.
Why? Because the UAE now is hosting COP28, and they want to showcase how serious they are in that journey. So Communique is brought in to help these fintechs start the journey.
Yes.
Okay. Whereas here, it's completely different. Here is mainly governed by the regulations.
Gihan, you mentioned before that you felt the fintech market was one that was going to drive a lot of activity. It'd be interesting just to explore that a little bit further.
Okay, yes, I do believe that. To give you some context, in globally there's 26,000 fintechs. Okay, it's a lot of fintechs. Fintechs are the ones who mainly, everything that happens in our daily routine regarding payment, acquisition, this is fintech. We just can't see it. So it's the technology behind how we're surviving and interacting and exchanging funds. If we are to speed the process and save our people and planet, we need to focus on the developing countries because they're the ones who are really impacted by global warming. But these countries, not every country has the right infrastructure or banking infrastructure. This is where fintech comes in. So I'm originally from Sudan. Right now we have a war happening. My family, immediate family had to elope, but they didn't have cash. The one thing that helped them to get out of Sudan is financial technology. One thing everyone has is a mobile phone. If you have a mobile phone, you will have access to cash. You just need to know how to use it. And that's the power of fintech.
Yes, it was Vodafone, wasn't it, in the sort of a long time ago, 15 plus years ago, who really were at the forefront of doing that and recognising the fact that a mobile phone is in everybody's pocket and the opportunities there are huge.
Exactly, and because the developing countries are the ones who are really affected by global warming, and because they don't have the right infrastructure, through fintechs, we can equip the farmers, the workers, the refugees with the right funds, and through the funds they can get the right education, the right resources to help us get to where we want to do with our people and planet agenda. Hence my passion regarding fintechs.
Yeah, makes sense. While I've got you, I also wanted to talk, and while I've got you as a communications specialist, to talk about terminology and ESG, impact, responsible business, sustainability. Does it matter what we call this space? Does it matter what the different phraseologies that are used, and how do we try to communicate something that's got so many different ways of it being referred to?
It really doesn't matter as long as you tell the story in a way that would resonate with your audience. The audience will understand what's impactful investment, for example, or what's an impactful initiative. The audience will understand what is the result of your initiatives and how did this result change the lives of the people and the environment that this initiative is taking place in. They don't care about big words. And this is my pain point at the moment with my team as well and my clients. They love using big words, but why? It doesn't make any sense. The layman person, for example, will have no idea what a carbon emission means. They wouldn't understand what is scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. But if you explain it to them in a way that resonates with how they're living and educate them in a simple way, this is how it will really, this is how your message would resonate. I'll give you an example. One of our clients wanted to explain to educate employees with all things sustainability. But they wanted to go through the normal routes, which is pure e-learning modules when you onboard the company, or before you get promoted, there are certain training sessions you need to take. We challenged that, and we said, no, This is not another code of conduct training. This is a mindset change training. That needs to change. So what we've done, we created an application for them, where employees would voluntarily download the application. In the app, you as an employee, all what you're asked of is to update and input some data regarding your transportation, regarding what you've eaten, regarding what you have bought, for example. Every time you input a data, the app will give you an explanation of how much carbon that means, and it will humanize it for you by giving you examples of what carbon emission is. But most importantly, it will give you substitution to reduce your carbon emission.
Yes.
So if I put in as Gihan saying, I've traveled from Bank to Waterloo using the underground, the app will tell me, Gihan, okay, your journey resulted in X amount of carbon being emitted, your footprint. However, did you know, Gihan, if you walked from Bank 5 minutes, let's say, to Monument, and then took the train, you would have reduced your carbon? For me, that's simple.
Yes.
That's doable. That is relatable.
Yes.
Rather than me giving you an online training on what is carbon emission. And that is the aim of Communique.
Yes.
We demystify the technical words into simple and human words. Actions, actually.
And this brings us back to sort of the early stage of your career, and those skills are evolved and developed from the work you've done outside of sustainability, and you've brought that to bear into the world of sustainability. Would that be a fair summary of what's happened?
It does, but it also, because I am not an English speaking by native, so it's not my mother tongue. And this is why I'm very mindful of everything we do has to be translatable into different languages and different culture. So my team, 60% of my team are from underdeveloped countries and underrepresented communities. I have no one with me in the UK. So can you imagine all 14 of us getting together, each one of us from different countries? Of course we have to be simple. Of course we have to be mindful of technical words.
How important is that? It's just digging into that diversity of thought and the importance of recognising the different starting points that everybody has. That sounds like it's something that your business is built on, that sort of concept that you have to be recognise that diversity of understanding.
So I built my business for 2 reasons. The first one, I spotted a gap and I wanted to fill it. Plain and simple.
Yep.
I can't come up with any other reason. The second reason, which is the most important reason for me personally, I wanted to live my purpose. And my purpose has always been to make the invisible visible.
Yes.
How do I do that? I do that by hiring freelancers from underdeveloped countries and underrepresented communities. I bring them on board, we train them, we mentor them, they deliver the work with us, and then they take the credit for the work we delivered. We don't. Why? Because I want them to build their portfolio in order for them to come and work in the developed country. Because that was the challenge I faced when I arrived to the UK. Even though I had WHO Geneva under my belt, I had Philip Morris Egypt under my belt, USAID Washington under my belt, I find it extremely difficult to find work in the UK purely because I didn't have UK experience. And that is the challenge I want to solve through Communique.
It's a good purpose to have.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you again in 10 years. Let's see.
I look forward to it. I'm sort of aware of time, and we need to bring the conversation to a bit of a close. One of the things I'm asking people is sort of snippets of knowledge and advice to people looking to build that sort of impactful, it's a horrible word, you won't like it because it's not very simple, but a career that you can deliver on your personal purpose. What advice would you give to somebody coming in and wanting to build a career that allows them to do that?
A career in sustainability or in general?
It's in sustainability specifically, as that as part of somebody's purpose.
If someone is interested in sustainability, they need to be mindful of which element of sustainability they will be interested in. Is it the environmental aspect? Is it the social impact? Or is it the governance? Okay, and one thing as well that I always say, sustainability is not ESG, so don't confuse the two together. Sustainability is the initiatives that you as a company would undertake to play your role in saving your people and planet. ESG is the data set that will help you understand if you are in the right direction and if you are meeting your targets and KPIs.
Yes.
Big difference.
Yes. And so your thinking is understand what you as an individual coming into this space, actually where your interest lies, and follow that. Is that?
Yes, and for you to understand, and if you don't have an interest yet, because you don't know what the topic entails yet, my advice is to speak to as many people as possible at the beginning, because that's what I have done. Yeah. I wanted to understand what on earth is ESG. I've never heard of it before. So what I've done, I went on LinkedIn, I found people who are, this is their bread and butter, approached them, spoke to them, asked them to demystify it for me. Based on that, I then realized, okay, which part of the ESG really interests me and which parts don't. Yeah. And this is where then I got qualified in this part.
Do you know what? I think that's a fantastic piece of advice to finish on. Network and understand and take advantage of the expertise that's out there already. And
the cynics as well.
Absolutely.
Talk to the cynics as well. Absolutely. To understand both sides. Both sides, yes.
Gihan, thank you. Thank you very much for watching as well. I hope you found that interesting and a certainly different perspective, which is really useful. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
No, very welcome.